My daughter was looking out the window and noticed this bright yellow mushroom growing in our yard. Let's take a look.
I've been asked to slow down. Fireplace, do you know how? Piles of paper, my desk is out. Who will care for the world out? Rest with me, close to curtains, brew some herbal tea. Reach out for me, take my hand and lead even when I disagree. Oh, how I love when it rains outside.
So apparently this mushroom is called Amanita muscaria, and it is common throughout northeastern North America, especially in the Maritimes. If that's what it is toxic. So if you find one, don't throw it in your stir fry. I am going to scrapbook this photo, and I am looking for a background. And oh my goodness, I love the back of that mushroom paper, but I only have one of each paper because I do not have the pattern paper add-on. I kind of wish that I did, because I do like both sides of that mushroom paper. But given that my photo is of a mushroom, I definitely need to use the mushroom side of it. I could use both. I'm not going to use all of it in the way that I'm planning, but it turns out I'm not going to use the back of it, but I might use it on another page. I'm starting by tearing a strip of this really fun pattern paper with the squirrels on it, and then I'm also going to tear a strip of the mushroom paper. And I am just making those layer, and of course I can increase the space between those just by lifting up the green mushroom paper. I'm going to use this yellow piece of cardstock from the cardstock add-on for my background. And then I'm going to layer these two pieces, and I'm thinking I'd like to have something a little bit darker go between them, just to allow for that. I tore that a little bit too straight. So let's make that look a little bit more organic by hand tearing it instead of tearing it along my ruler edge. I like that quite a bit better. And what this brown piece does is it just adds a little bit of contrast between the two fairly busy papers. And I'm just going to roughly follow the line of the chipmunk paper, and that gives me a fairly thin border of the brown in between these two fairly busy papers. And it allows each paper to kind of stand on its own instead of being distracted from one another. I'm going to rough up the edges of this. I mean, it's already rough because it's torn, but I'm going to pull up the little edges, just curl them up a little bit to add to the texture on this page. And now I'm going to use my ATG to glue the chipmunk paper to the brown floral paper. And then I'll trim that down. I didn't trim it quite down enough, so I'll trim it again there just to get rid of that little edge of brown that was showing. I had another little edge of brown here because I didn't line them up exactly perfectly, but that's all right. I just trimmed it off. And now I will rough up the edge of the brown paper as well, and just, make it look kind of organic so that there's bigger chunks of it showing in some places and smaller chunks of it showing in other places. But I definitely wanted some to be showing along the entire edge of the chipmunk paper. Now I'm just adding some foam adhesive in between those layers just to help the chipmunk paper lift up off the page. I'm marking where I want this to go so that enough of the mushroom paper shows. And that's what I meant by you can increase the gap just by raising that bottom paper up a little bit. I really like how that looks. And I'm going to have my photo so that it is nestled in the layers here. I'm going to mat it just to give it a little bit more presence on the page, especially using that brown paper. So the brown paper is a repetition of the brown that shows up in the layers below, but it's also really bold and it allows that photo to really stand out on the yellow background. I'm going to nestle it a little bit, but not entirely. So you are going to see that lower edge of the photo showing. And I will fill that in with some embellishments as well because it ends up looking a little bit distracting. I'm adding even more foam pieces here to help that mushroom paper lift up off my background a little bit, provide a little bit of dimension and a bit of a gray shadow as well. I am just marking off some of the embellishments that I've already used in the last page that I created. If you didn't see that one, you can check it out in the playlist for this kit. And that's linked in every video that I make with each kit. There's always the kit playlist, so you can always see all of the pages that I create using any given kit. This one is, of course, the Cuddle Up kit from MercyTiara Kits. I am pulling out some embellishments here that I want to nestle and layer in behind the photo of the mushrooms. And I'm also picking out the mushrooms because they're obviously very relevant to this page. So I'll put all of those floral pieces back. The floral die cuts came in the embellishment kit, the embellishment add-on for this one. And then the journaling pieces that I have down there, I'm just moving them out of the way now, that set came with the main kit. I'm just going to tuck that pumpkin in on the side there. Even though there's no pumpkins in the layout, it's very autumnal and it also just provides a little bit of anchoring for my page. I plan to put the title here and I want to embellish the title with mushrooms growing all around it. So I'm going to have the title look as though it's sitting right on the edge of the photo. And so I do want the photo to be fairly straight. I often don't care if the photo is straight or not, but in this case I do, because it is, if the photo is really crooked, then my title is also going to be crooked. I'm just talking about how I kind of wish that the mushrooms were facing the other way, shifted over to the left instead of over to the right. I could print up another photo. I could invert the photo. There's all sorts of things I could do to fix that, but I'm just going to leave it because it's not that important. Maybe it's not important at all. Maybe I'm just being a little bit too much of a stickler here. So I am looking for something to hold these extra mushrooms on. I feel like they're getting lost in the background. So a journaling piece is a really great way to help your other elements have a little bit of a home to live and to stand out from some of the background. If I just put the mushrooms there themselves layered with the pumpkin, it would look a little bit too, I don't know, maybe busy. Yeah. I definitely wanted to use a play on words or a pun for this title because there are so many great mushroom puns out there. One of my patrons suggested a shroom with a view, which, whew, that's an amazing one. And I would have loved to have used that one. I ended up choosing such a fun guy. I think I would have, if I had taken the picture from the window, I would have used the other one, the other title. But I think that I like this title better for this particular page, but I have to make a mental note of that pun and use that one on something else. So I have the mushrooms growing in front of the title and behind the title. And I am going to be popping up the top of this mushroom and gluing down the stem so that it looks like it's growing at a bit of an angle, almost growing up out of the page. Then the second mushroom here is glued flat, and then the third mushroom is getting the same treatment as the first one. So the top of the mushroom is popped up and the stem is flat. With these ones, I'm going to do the same. So I glued down that brown one and then I'm popping up just the top of the yellow one. So it looks like it's growing up out of the page. And then those will tuck down into the layers, and I'm just going to add some twine to my little tag. Oh, that's so cute. Love how that looks. I'm going to just add a little bit of a brown border around the outside edges of that tag. It just gives it a bit more of a finished look, and I will glue that down. And oops, I put the pumpkin a little bit too low. I like how it looks just peeking out from behind that tag there. It's so cute. I'm going to pop the tag up a little bit as well, just to give it even more dimension. And I did slide that Happy Fall tab over to that I've got it in my hand right now, over to the right there. And I'm going to I had 2 more mushrooms, so I thought about putting them there, but I'm not going to. I do want something to fill that space where the yellow is. I just feel like there's a little bit too much contrast there if I don't have something there. So I did take the 2 similar tags to the one that I've already used. I'm going to put them just layered right here. I'm going to layer them over one another, and then I'm going to just tuck them into that little space. That the space was too glaring, like it was drawing your attention and looking a little unfinished. So putting something there helps. I didn't want to put string in those tags because it would detract from the mushrooms in the photo. These Maggie Holmes puffy stickers, they're the really soft kind that I really love so much. I always go on and on about how smooth and soft and velvety they are. They were in the main kit, and I love these little hearts, so I'm just placing them every here and there. They're a really nice soft addition and add a bit of interest in the background. Now, I would have liked to have put some of these little brads on my page, and I can't find a spot for them right now. I'm just going to cross off the pieces that I've used, and that way I don't go searching for them when I'm scrapbooking next time and think, oh, I want to use that, and it's gone already. So I like to cross them off just so that I have a record of what to not go looking for. The main kit comes with some digital files. These are some printables that you can print at home and cut up yourself. I ran mine through, I cut them on cardstock, and then I ran them through my brother's Scan and Cut. So these were all cut for me by my Scan and Cut machine. And this is the first month I've done that, and I really love it. It's a bit of a game changer. So I'm going to use, remember those 2 mushrooms that I said I'm not going to put those there. I'm going to put one of them down here with a little place for my journaling. I'm going to layer 2 of those labels together, the circle one and the long one. And there are 2 sheets of those labels they're the same set of labels, but in 3 different sizes. And I'm using the big ones, I think. I cut all of them, so I've got 2 sheets of labels there in that little dish. So I just made that label so that it extends off the page, and I think I just found a home for one of those brads. One of the brads has a mushroom on it, so I just layered it with one of those tags over there. Thought about using other ones, but nope, I'm gonna just leave it at that. And now I am doing some journaling in a brown ballpoint pen. It's a little bit of a greenish brown, I guess. And what I'm writing is, it says, Sophie spotted these mushrooms from the house. They're so colorful. And I did use a roller date stamp as well here. One of my friends and tiaras, Diane, sent me this and another roller date stamp, and I just adore them and use them all the time. It says September 28th, 2024, which was the day that I was scrapbooking this, so that was kind of fun. I always love doing same day layouts. So once I'm finished the journaling, I was thinking I was done, and I pulled over the other layout that I did on the same day. And then I realized I think I'd like to finish this one off with a little bit of outlining. So I just outlining the outside edges. I like to do this when I use a cardstock as a background, which I actually rarely do, but I just find that it finishes off the cardstock background. Now, I was thinking about adding some splatter, and before I share the photos, just a quick shout out to my Patreon supporters. These folks help make this channel happen, so great big thanks to all of them. If you're interested in seeing what patrons get access to, you can check out my link in the information section below. But as you can see, I did not add any splatter to this page yet. Now, the next kit is going to come with a very fun splatter option. This is the November kit. And so I held off on adding splatter because I think I'm going to wait and add that new gold splatter that I'm going to be adding into my collection of mixed media supplies. So here are some of the places that you can reach me online. Take care and have a really great scrappy week.